you some of the things that the state security agents do when they are torturing people, especially men. They tie a stone with a rope. They hang you inside a building. There are buildings, there are torture and interrogation rooms run by the CIO. I know all of them that are in Harare, in CBD, in Harare, I know all of them, unless they built new ones in the past 5 years. All of them, I know where they are. So I'm not telling you something I read, I want you to understand that. There's a rope there and a rope there, they tie you and you are hanging. Then they take a 1 kilogram piece of rock, tie it to the rope, and tie it to your secrets. I have a bias for justice. I have a bias for things that need to be right. I don't tolerate shenanigans. I don't want corruption. I don't like people's rights to be violated. I love a nation where people are free to live within the bounds of the law and to work for themselves and to feed their families. I have spoken and advocated and criticized the abuse of public power and the militancy within which the government of Zimbabwe executes its administration, and unashamedly and unapologetically so, and so I will remain. But when I was looking at that, I wanted to understand, where did this start? How did I become like this? You understand? Now, in 2009, go and Google this. It's not a fiction, it's not a creation. In 2009, 3 years after I left high school in 2006. 2009, that is 3 years. 2005, that's when I wrote my A-levels. So 2006, 7, 8, 9, 4 years. 2009, 4 years after I left high school, there was a case that happened. As usual, our government uses state power for a party agenda and not for state functions. And so when you work for the state and you have a conscience, there are times when you ask yourself, what I've been asked to do, is it for the nation, or it's for the government, it's for the president, or it's for the minister, or it's for my boss? Some of the things you're asked to do are harmful things, I'm telling you. In 2009, I was in Bulawayo. I was deployed in Bulawayo. There was an operation I was doing in Bulawayo for a couple of days. Learning to speak is in very, very trouble sometimes. I remember that. So, in 2009, there was a case. Go and Google it. It's Pascal and many others. These guys were tortured by the state, in particular by the CIO. Tortured because they were alleged that they had stolen AK-47 rifles from Pomona Army Barracks, and that they were trained by Mr. Changirai in Uganda or Ghana to come back to Zimbabwe and become bandits. If you are an adult, you must have met with this story, watched it on TV, read newspapers about it. Because these guys were, many of them, they were held at Harare Central Remand Prison. I remember that case. If you want to know what ZANU PF is good at, go and interview the people who were tortured by ZANU PF. That's how much you realize that there's nothing good that ZANU PF can do except causing pain to the people. They can buy brand new bulldozers to destroy homes. They won't be able to buy a crane to rescue citizens that are suffocating and suffering. Their minibus is under a heavy haulage truck and people are trapped in there. The government cannot do that. But remember, my consciousness for what is right and what is wrong, black consciousness, Pan-Africanism, we talk about Marxist-Leninism, a little bit of that. I've got my own arguments and reservations with the Marxist-Leninist ideologies, the communist and the socialist ideologies. I've got my qualms with that, but let me reserve that for another day. I started questioning things. Why are these things happening? Do we have to do this? Does it help the state or it helps an individual? Because you'll be seeing what people are going through. You are the one who is living a good life, you understand? You have a vehicle where you get a fuel anytime you want. Nobody asks you, where were you with the fuel you got? That's the kind of life I was living as a young man. When this case broke out, things were very tough, and maybe people do not know that Pascal Gwesere was Morgan Changirai's cousin. He was a brother from another mother, but they were related. Pascal Gwesere would say, Changirai is my elder brother. Yes, I want you to know this. Somebody contacted us and said, guys, things are tough. The guys are locked up at Central Remand Prison there, and they are refusing that they be attended to by doctors. They've been tortured. There's no food and stuff like that. That was my first encounter with Mr. Changirai. Even though I did not meet him personally, I met with his younger brother then. All right? Yes, he's there. He can't claim he doesn't know me. He knows me. I can't I can't tell his name. I don't want to put him into trouble, but the Zimbabwe is very small. Remember, every time when people are in trouble, they are looking for help. Inside the system that has abducted these guys at midnight, the system that is torturing them, that's the system I was working for. But because of my interactions with people and people realizing the soft heart I had at that time, somebody reached out and said, can you do something about it? Number one, to enable those who were inside this central prison to get medical attention. They could have died. Let me tell you some of the things that the state security agents do when they are torturing people, especially men. They tie a stone with a rope. They hang you inside a building. There are buildings, there are torture and interrogation rooms run by the CIO. I know all of them that are in Harare, in CBD, in Harare, I know all of them, unless they built new ones in the past 5 years. All of them, I know where they are. So I'm not telling you something I read. I want you to understand that. There's a rope there and a rope there. They tie you and you are hanging. Then they take a 1 kilogram piece of rock, tie it to the rope, and tie it to your secrets. And they ask you to confess. Wakarembera mdenga wakasungirwa dombo pamano ako uri murume kuseru kuroho rudirwa mvura iri kubuda mufiriji. That's how much they torture people. I know that. I watched people being tortured. But it's not every time that you can do something about that. You understand? So, and you must understand that knowing exactly what they can do when they are torturing people. When they started hunting me, I prepared myself. This is what I would do for them not to torture me. I'd prepared myself. If they abduct me and bundle me up into the back of the unregistered vehicle, on my way to the torture chamber, they will find me dead inside that house, inside that car. But I will not be dead alone. I will be dead with everyone inside that car. This Pascal Gwesere was amongst the guys who were abducted, tortured for days. without anybody knowing where they are. When they were done torturing them, number one, they discovered that these guys were not the ones who had stolen the ammunition at Pomona Army Barracks. Number two, they were never trained in Ghana. All right? Mm-hmm. Yes. Mr. Changirai could never have come up with such ideas. He didn't have such security acumen to send people out of Zimbabwe to get trained. He was a simple man. But we had to help. Out of our desire, out of my desire, I sat down with the three guys that I worked with and said, let's help these guys. We don't lose anything. Nobody will know that we are the ones we have helped. I know the whole of that story. Eventually, the MDC party hired Alec Mchade-Hama to represent these guys, and they were denied the bail. You can speak with Alec Mchade-Hama. I can tell you, he's a prominent Harare lawyer. They tried to block him to attending that court where they wanted to apply for bail because they were being denied bail. We had to step in. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how I stepped in, but I'm telling you something that I was involved in. Mm-hmm. Until the court said, we want to hear this matter in the open court. It was heard in the chambers. The judge who presided over that matter was Justice Ungwe. There were 9 people sitting in the justice's chamber. I was one of those 9 people, making sure that these guys are legally represented and that they get medical attention. Securing a court process to help people that do not know you. Knowing very well the people who are doing it, that they have no legal justification. Yes. These guys will die if we don't do something. Now you can ask me another day if I got paid for that job. But did they pay you? How much did you get? Another day, I might answer that. This is one of the issues that I've dealt with in my life. There is a person in our church right now who became a believer later. It took me some time to say to him, because of how I met with him and the life I lived before. Are you a true believer? Someone has said to you. He said, I can't believe that this man is now a minister of the gospel. There are 3 people who were convicted wrongly and sent to jail that I brought out myself. I can't tell you their names. One of them had his girlfriend that a politician had proposed to him. You understand? Yes. And because of that, they warned him, let this girl go, and he said, she's my girlfriend, I want to marry her. And he was threatened. He couldn't let go. They created a rape case against him. And what happened? He was given 8 years in prison. I can assure you today that not less than 30% of people that are in prison in Zimbabwe were wrongly convicted and wrongly sentenced. There are serious manipulations of the criminal justice system in Zimbabwe. I dealt with those issues until I had to go to Johannes Stamana's office and say, this case was not properly done. Who was the prosecutor in this case? This is not evidence. And the woman finally said, no, I wasn't raped. I was told to confess that he raped me. And I said, this is the relationship. This guy, uyu, ndiye muridzi wemusikana. Akavarira munhu aida kuroora musikana uyu kuti aende kujeri. Kwete kuti iye amurori andori nemukadzi atokura haasuda kuroora. Kuti angoita girlfriend yake. Ask the people of Kado of Chinoi. How many people got arrested for Faba Shidarikire? I'm just telling you one of some of the few names. You think I'm lying to you. Ask them. How cruel Faba Chidarikire was when he was governor for Mashonaland Central. Was it Mashonaland West? I think it's Mashonaland West or Central. I can't remember now. I rescued someone who was imprisoned by Faba Chidarikire for no reward. Simply feeling that it's not fair. It's not fair. You understand? It's not fair. It's not fair. Yeah, they know me, those guys. They can't tell you they don't know me. Yeah. Mrs. Virginia Mabiza cannot tell you that she doesn't know me. That's not true now. Some of those things were not something that were in my line of duty. You understand? Yes. At one point, we secured a body. People killed someone, and they didn't want to give the relatives a body to bury their relative whom they had killed. To access a dead body was another uphill task. And those people are called your workmates, your colleagues. You are wondering, what state security are we trying to achieve by denying these people the body of their deceased relative whom you have killed for no apparent reason? What state security is this? I've given you a few tips of when I look at myself where I am now and try to understand where I'm coming from and why I am who I am. That when people offer you money, you say no because you've got value systems that you are trying to protect, but you are not getting a cent out of that. You understand? I realized that I was designed for this job. I was designed for this job where I preach the gospel and preach it with all wisdom and all boldness. When I look at those who are in the corridors of power, I have worked with some of them. They don't scare me at all. But this issue is not going to end on the pulpit. This is a prophecy that I want to clarify. Our nation is going to need national cleansing from a lot of spillage of blood and mutilation of people's privacy, people's peace that happened over a period of not less than 45 years now. As I speak to you now, if Mr. Pascal Gwezere is still alive, he can't look at my face and say he doesn't know me. We brought him food to another central remand prison where people were in a dark cell. There were no lights. There were no visitors allowed. But we were allowed because of the virtue of our privileges as workers of the state. We went there. Oh, I'm coming. If you fure, topinda mabiwo erechka atina. Ora tikudzoka. Toenda pa Newlands paya topinda muspa totenga chikafu. Nemari dzedu toya tosikopa vasungwa manyeri tonyora report. Tavasira mabetadine, tavasira maparacetamol. Vari kunwa but doctor anzi anoya kuseni. Taorganizer shift manager kuti doctor apinde vakomana varapwe. So when I condemn some of the injustices happening in Zimbabwe, I don't do so as an outsider. No, I was there. Before Douglas Nyikairamba died, when I was deployed in Mutare, I had conversations with him. You don't tell me nothing about Douglas Nyikairamba's days as the command of the 2 brigade in Mutare. I was there, I worked there. You don't tell me about these things. I was there. 6 weeks ago, I spoke to the widow of General Brigadier Mike Chaminuka. I want you to see his face there. And I said to her, we never had a chance to meet you and I. I'm very sorry that your husband died. He's one of the people that I felt that if he had lived, he had a good heart. Yes. When you work for a diabolic system, it's difficult to show people that you are different. But he's one of the people that I can tell you that he was different. He was my friend, this guy. A personal friend of mine. I spoke to his widow 6 weeks ago. And I said, I've been desiring to say I'm sorry for your loss. Did you know that your husband was my friend? She said, yes. This man used to come to my house at night. And he would sit down in his car and discuss. He would say, Bamdik. We still have good people in Zimbabwe who can make a positive contribution. So when we talk about the desire to cleanse a nation, we know what needs to be done. I'm certain about that. I know how a nation can be cleansed. 3 years there was no rain in Israel because Saul had killed the Gibeonites. 3 years. Yes. The whole nation was in starvation. Yes. For how long shall Zimbabwe be in trouble over the devastating effects of this case? 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 1.
Then there was a famine in the days of David 3 years, year after year. And David inquired of the Lord. And the Lord answered, it is for Saul and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites. And
there was a famine in the days of David. How many years?
3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
What did David do?
And the king called the Gibeonites.
And David inquired of the Lord.
And said unto them.
And I'm still reading verse 1. And the Lord answered and said, there will be no rain in Israel. Because not you, Pastor Rengwe,
yes,
but your predecessor. Your predecessor killed Gibeonites. This is why the whole nation is in hunger. Zimbabwe shall need to do a cleansing ceremony for the evil deeds of Mr. Mugabe, even after he is long since buried.
Yes.
David could have simply told God, it's not my fault. It wasn't me. Why did you allow Saul to die before punishing the nation? You know, God, the right thing for you to have done was to bring this case in the time of Saul. Why cursing the nation for a murder, a genocide that was done by the previous administration? Now, the number of people that were killed in the Mugabe era are now almost the same number of people that have been killed in the Mnangagwa era. The difference is that in the Gukurahundi genocide, many people died over a few number of weeks. But people are disappearing in Zimbabwe. Some of them have never been found. But they are disappearing one by one. Some are being poisoned, some are being shot, some are being pierced through by knives. Some are being choked and smothered. Some are being killed through planned accidents, like the ones they wanted to kill me in. Huh? You understand? Right. Saul died. Before he died, he killed Gibeonites. God said, I'll curse the nation because of the Gibeonites that Saul and not David killed. Because of the Gibeonites, there was a famine in Israel for 3 years. When David prayed to God, God told him, it's the Gibeonites. David did not say, just forgive us. He knew that an abomination cannot be removed by prayer.
Yes.
An abomination needs a cleansing. This is why in verse number 2, he asked the Gibeonites,
Yes.
what do you want me to do for you? Read verse number 2.
And the king called the Gibeonites and said unto them, now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel.
The people that were killed in the genocide in Rwanda, they were not killed by President Kagame.
Yes.
He is the one who rescued the nation from a bloodthirsty regime. Let's do prayer and fasting. Let's do prayer breakfast meeting. Let's go to HICC. Invite His Excellency President Mnangagwa for a prayer. Waste of time. Waste of time. Since when do people take away cases with a prayer? Since when? Magambona case no viswane prayer. Ye abomination. Ye nyika. Ye ropa. Prayer, how many prayers has Mr. Mnangagwa attended so far? Has anything changed? If prayers could change something. Next time, go into Kariba Dam and do a prayer from the center of the Kariba Dam. After that, go to the Atlantic Ocean. Hire a yacht. Do a prayer from the midst of the ocean. See if it will change. The same person who spilled blood is the one organizing prayers. How does that work for you? How can you be the medara and the presiding officer, also the guest speaker? At a reconciliation meeting, you are the guest speaker. You are also the same person who killed people. Nyakura, dear footy guest speaker. For prayer breakfast, Your Excellency. Which excellency are you talking about? Is this a cleansing ceremony?